Today's Talk About It Tuesday question is: my whole life I've worked hard to earn income. For the next half of my life, I want to switch to earning passive income. What are some of the biggest mental and physical shifts I have to make in order for that to happen? Well, that's a great question, and they actually worded it well because there are both mental and physical shifts that must be made in order for it to happen. So let's just really briefly talk about the difference between earned income and passive income. So earned income is a one-to-one exchange of labor, whether it's physical labor or mental labor, but it's a one-to-one exchange of labor for income, meaning the income is derived off of direct labor that you do. So having a job, being a sole proprietor, multi-level marketing, all these things are one to, whether you work on commission or salary, right? It's still a one-to-one exchange. Passive income, contrary to what people believe, does not mean you don't have to work at all. It means that there's not a direct exchange of labor for income, meaning you have an asset or you have a business. And when I say business, you're a business owner and other people do the work. You own an asset that produces income, such as a rental property, such as dividend paying stocks, such as interest earning assets. So you have assets, ownership of something that pays you, right? As opposed to someone else owning and basically you're the labor that pays them. So making the transition is extremely difficult. Most of us have mastered the process for earned income. We know what it is. Education is critical, right? Whether you're talking about piling up degrees or trades or certifications, right? We know the process. You pile up the paperwork, you wow somebody at the interview, you impress them in the beginning to work hard. You work hard for them, do a little extra, show ambition, get promoted, get raises, and that's it, right? That's the process. And if you see another job that where your skills fit that pays more, you just go to the other job and you just do this for the rest of your life. But passive income is different. So passive income, you have to acquire the asset. So there's a skill set for acquiring different assets, and there's a skill set for maintaining those assets, and there's a skill set for moving from asset to asset as some assets become unviable. Just like some jobs become obsolete, some assets or investments become unviable. Some businesses become unviable and no longer produce. Some real estate, some stocks, everything, right, can become unviable. So there's a skill set you have to learn that you don't learn from earned income. It's not transferable. But let's talk about, to me, the most important part is the mindset shift. So you've heard your parents say birds of a feather flock together. That's so critical. If you only hang around people who work, you're not getting the right input. You're not getting the right advice. You're not getting the right frame of reference for passive income. And I'll give you an example. So I haven't had a job since 2004. 2004 is when I left my job. Every once in a while, I'll run into somebody that I worked with, and some of them are still on the job, right? We're talking about 20 something years later. Some of them are still on the job. And the only thing they want to talk about is the job, how it's changed, what they're doing, what it was like when I was there, and blah, blah, blah. I'm gaining nothing of value in terms of money making, in terms of earning from that conversation. Nothing whatsoever. And anybody who spends 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, at least that amount of time in the working world doing earned income, they can tell you how to make more money in the earned income world. They can't tell you how to make money in the passive income world. So you have to change your circle. You have to, I'm not saying exclude them, but you have to include people who are doing what you want to do. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to be around entrepreneurs, right? So, you could join a chamber of commerce. And there are plenty of groups online now, right, for that. So you can, if you want to be an entrepreneur, hang around entrepreneurs. If you want to be an investor, you can't hang around somebody who just has a 401k or dabbles on the side. You need to be around investors. If you want to, if real estate, you want to be around somebody who invests in real estate, not again somebody who has a house just for themselves. So you got to change your circle, and that would change your network, because those people know people who know people who know people who can bring to the table everything that you need. You need to change your information sources. There are different media outlets, whether you're talking about social media or traditional media, whether you're talking that provide information for particular demographics. And if you're trying to be a passive income earner, there are resources and sources of information that you want to access that other people don't care about, right? Their whole perspective on the world is different. What matters in the economy is different to somebody who's a worker as opposed to somebody who's doing passive income. So you got to change your information sources. You have to, most importantly, change your habits. The habits that you have of work hard, get a raise to buy a bigger house, or to buy a bigger, a newer car, or to take a grander vacation. Some of those habits have to change in the acquisition stage, because that money has to go towards acquiring assets. That will eventually get you all those things anyway, if you really want it. But you have to change your habits. So you have to get in the habit of ownership. You have to get in the habit of making things grow, as opposed to, again, just exchanging time or labor for income. So your money habits have to change. Your spending habits have to change. Your, even the habit of how you order your day. When you have a job and you're earning income, somebody already does that for you. Somebody tells you what time to get up, what time to be to work, what the work priorities are, when you're going to get paid, how much you're going to get paid. You have to take care of all that, right? So now you have to get into the habit of getting organized and structured and prioritizing and doing the work, right? Because if you don't do the work now, you don't get paid. Where before, once you've been on the job, you find ways to do less and less. Now you got to make sure everything is done in order for you to get paid. So those are some of the big shifts. So again, ownership as opposed to labor. And it's not just ownership, it's choosing the right things, right? So it's not flipping a house. That's not passive income. That's active income. It's not trading stocks. That's not passive income. That's active income. It's not, sole proprietor. That's active income. That's not passive income. So it's understanding what assets produce passive income, acquiring the skills to be able to be successful, not only acquiring, but maintaining those, and having a different, broader understanding of the economy is important. And then who you hang around, where you get your information, those things become extremely important as well. So those are some of the big shifts, physical, mental shifts that you have to make. But please share your experience. Where are your hurdles if you're trying to make the transition? What have you been successful with if you have already made the transition? But please like, share, subscribe, keep the questions coming, and I'll see you next Tuesday.